Hey guys, Coach Chad here, and we are back with the Quantum Leap Mindset Participants Guide section of paradigms. Now, this might be the most impactful, the most important, the most influential section of the mindset guide, and that is the understanding of paradigms. Now, the paradigms link and are a part of every other section of this guide. As you walk through this, paradigms are going to continue to come up. That's why they are the most important. Paradigms are part of how you set your goals, how you see yourself in the world, how you see life. They are your internal programs that guide you. Now, when we think of paradigms, when we start to understand them, you're going to understand these to be the most important aspects of change when it comes to body transformation, because what they do is they control your results. They control your outcomes, which of course is what we're all about, is results and outcomes. We want positive outcomes and positive results. That's what you're seeking. In this case, it's weight loss and body fat percentage drops. So when you go through your participants guide, there's going to be a couple examples in there. So with the way you want to visualize paradigms, the way you want to see them, the best two examples that have always made sense to me is first, a governor on your car. If you're unfamiliar with a governor is essentially something that is built into your engine that will not allow it to go past a certain speed, RPM, or power output. So there's a governor on your car, okay? And you have governors built into you as well. They're built into your subconscious mind, and we've discussed this kind of like they become part of the analogy, or part of the concept of your limiting belief systems and your limiting belief structures that you hold. That is your governor. And it's something that you, over time, through environment and genetics, have built into your subconscious mind. The other way to visualize paradigms is simply programming. So think about a program on a computer. So this is a computer right in front of me. I got computers here. And within every program that's inside this computer, it has been programmed by somebody, wherever, a computer programmer, but it has a limited capacity. Whatever it was programmed to do is all it can do. So if you look at your cell phone as an example, this cell phone has infinite capacity, but within it, it's only programmed to do so much. So if I open my MyFitnessPal app, it can only do certain things because there's a limit on its capacity built into its programming. Now, the unique part is, if you were a computer programmer, you can simply go into that phone, into this computer, and you could change the programming to change the outcomes or the results that that program provides. And if you think of that as your paradigm that's built into your subconscious mind, you are in control of that as well, right? Now, it doesn't make it an easy task to control. It doesn't make it something that's simple, but you do honestly control it. You control your outcomes, you control your results, and you control it by changing your paradigms. You cannot change, you cannot make advancement in career, in life, in eating habits, in weight loss, without changing some of your habits and your paradigms. And it's your paradigms that control your habits. And we're going to get more into that later when we start to understand the mind to a deeper degree. So, but the most important aspect here is that you have to consider the fact that all of your actions that you take are controlled by your mind. Your actions then are taken by the body. The body is where the actions are placed. And then the environment around you has a reaction. And that action reaction is simply where you get results. Okay. They may be positive, they may be negative. It depends on what the action was. But that reaction will produce the results. That result is then what you internalize, and that's what builds and helps develop the programming and the paradigms that you have. But again, the most important statement here that you have to understand about paradigms is that they do have the capacity to be changed. Not easily, but they do. Okay. So if we take a step back, we can start to dive into how are paradigms created. And actually, maybe even before we do that, we can actually use the definition that's in your guide of a paradigm. And I think it's the greatest definition for paradigms. It's a pretty bold one, but there is no better statement, no truer statement, and no better definition. A paradigm is a multitude of habits that guide every move you make and the thoughts you have. Paradigms control your thinking, behavior, logic, ability to lose weight, relationships, your successes, your failures, and every other aspect of your life. Your paradigms control your actions and your results. Okay, this must be understood. So how are paradigms formed? Paradigms are formed essentially in two different ways. They're formed through our conditioning. Now, first, they're formed through genetics, and you can't really control a lot of this, but at some point, mom, dad came together, created you. And because of that, built into our DNA, there are just certain things about us that make me different than you and the person beside you. We are all infinitely different, but those things are built right into us from genetics. But the most important aspect of how paradigms are created are through environmental conditioning. And this starts at a very young age. At a young age, our minds are wide open. We are like sponges. We always say kids learn everything. They just pick up stuff, just like when you think about a kid learning a language, right? They're sponges. They pick up everything. Their subconscious mind is open to all aspects. They have no limiters. They have no limiting beliefs. They just learn, okay? So when you look at a young child, that is where we start our conditioning, okay? And you can think about this as an example with regard to language, food choices, the style of eating that you have, and your preferences of foods. These are all built on your environmental conditioning. If I was to grow up in China and not know the difference between growing up in Canada, I would speak Mandarin or some other language. I would not know any different. My cultural norms would be different. My food choice would be different. My ability most likely to handle hot food would be different. We are a outcome of our programming that we have through our environment, our interactions with our parents, our our surroundings and our culture. Where for me, I'm from a small town, that influences everything I do. But these are all influences from my environmental conditioning, which then create my paradigms. But the beautiful part is that we have the capacity to think and change these. The interesting part is that most people, and this is kind of a strange statement, but when you think about it, most people never actually think. They never actually think about these things. They never actually challenge these things. And they never actually go to the step of investigating and studying themselves and understanding the paradigms, understanding their limiting beliefs, and understand that they can change. But without that, most people will never move forward in weight loss or in life or however you want to put it. Okay. So we've got to understand how paradigms are formed. And when we have that awareness, that understanding, it then allows us to understand how we can potentially change them. So when you think about what are your current paradigms, you have to just simply look at your results. Okay. In any aspect of your life, look at your results. That will tell you a great deal about the paradigms that you hold. So how much money you earn, how much, what your work ethic is, what kind of food you enjoy, what your body fat percentage is, what your history of weight loss is. Inside of the body transformation portions, these are important questions to ask. What are your stress levels? These are all components of your paradigms. And we're going to ask you over the next week and more to start investigating these things and start digging down and start studying and thinking about yourself and what thoughts and what kind of beliefs that you hold. And I want you to investigate yourself and delve in and study you. Okay. So when you think about how to change a paradigm, there's really only two methods of changing a paradigm. All right. The first one is an emotional impact. So usually something negative. This could be a death in the family, a illness, a sickness, or something like that. And usually, almost exclusively, this is considered around a negative output. It's very rarely a positive one. So example would be like, people have to change smoking or want to stop smoking, but they never do. Diagnosed with lung cancer, that's a pretty good way to stop smoking. An emotional impact so heavy, so firm, so strong that it changes your habits. It changes the way you see the world and you see yourself. That paradigm is instantly changed. Okay. So an emotional impact. Now, for most of us, we haven't necessarily experienced that inside of weight loss, but for some, that might be the case. And that might be, some kind of illness or something else example as well. Okay. But the other way to change, and the most important way that we have to understand, is a repetition of a good idea, a repetition of a habit that we can instill within ourselves that will then break that paradigm down and instill it with a new habit. So we can break paradigms by a repetition of a good idea. And that's what we're doing. This is why you have a goal card. You have a goal card which you have written a good and worthy idea on, right? So your worthy goal. And then you have repetition. You've put it on your mirror at home. You read it aloud in the morning. You read it before you go to bed at night. You carry it in your car or on your person at all times. And anytime you touch or read that goal card, it stimulates a positive emotion, a positive electrical current that goes into your brain and impacts and impresses this great idea, this good idea onto your subconscious mind, which then allows you to start breaking down paradigms. But first, you have to start understanding what those paradigms are and then start to attack them one at a time. Okay. So, again, a repetition of a good idea and a repetition of that idea over and over and over again is how you break down paradigms. And you will never change a paradigm until you change your habits, and your habits will then influence your results. Okay. So, until you change your paradigms, your results will not change as well. So as we go into your guide, you start to look into this step where we are going to start bridging and understanding what value added habits are and non-valued actions. I'm sorry. Okay. So valued actions and non-valued actions. And this is the component where we start to take that knowledge and put it into action. We are closing the gap between what you know you should be doing and what you're actually doing. When it comes to weight loss, this is always the biggest thing. You guys, God damn it, know what you're supposed to do, but you don't always do it. And I want you to start bridging that gap, stepping onto that bridge of uncertainty, as we talked about, and start moving towards what you know you have to do. And you can start to make that process easier by understanding how it is now and how you want it to be. Okay, this is where you start to understand your gap and start to close it. So I have put in here a multitude of different ideas that you need to explore, and I want your imagination to spread here a little bit. So when I read this, the first one in your guide is body weight. How has your body weight changed in the past 5 years? Did your results go up, down, stay the same? Simply write out what your body weight, what your body image has been over, even those are two separate things, has been over the last 5 years, and start to understand why. Start to think about why that's been the case. So that is how it is now. Then I want you to write out how you want it to be. Okay. What's the positive outcome? What's the positive action that you want, that you are seeking? And explore that and be diligent. You may not have enough room on your guide. Use separate pieces of paper, get a workbook, write in it. Okay. These are things with journaling I do all the time. I have books. I'm a big fan of beautiful books and nice books. This is a Rhodia book. I write all my notes and thoughts and ideas in here. And a lot of times with things like this, I'll take it outside of my manual and start playing and writing all of my thoughts in here so I can create more knowledge of myself and what I want to change and what I'm looking to do. It will start to clarify your ideas and start to clarify your goal and the path towards it. The next one is food relationship. How is your relationship with food? Is food a fuel, comfort, etc.? So personally, I know, and I wish this wasn't the case, I can be an emotional eater. So I would write down that I when I'm stressed and life is kind of challenging, the kids are driving me up the wall, I can become an emotional eater. But then I have to go back and say, how would I like it to be? And I would like it to be where stress doesn't impact me. So I use my goal as a motivator, as something that's going to change my habits. Break down that paradigm where I stop telling myself that I'm a stressful eater, and I start to realize that actually my goals overpower that, and I want to move in the positive direction. The next one was food. How are your general eating habits? Now, this is a pretty broad question, but again, I want you guys to dive deep. What are your general eating habits? Are you proud of your food choices, portion control, all of these things? And if you're not, and you'd like to see changes, what would those changes look like? Okay, next, health. Are you taking care of yourself? How is your health? And be honest with yourself, guys. This is incredibly important that you actually be honest with yourself. It's too easy to say you're doing all the things, but again, you're not challenging that knowing doing gap. And in many cases, as you guys go through here, you might actually be doing all the things you need to do in certain aspects of your life. But what you'll realize is that there's other aspects of your life or other aspects that are part of the body transformation that you want to make that are falling behind. And those are the ones that you want to bring up. You want to bring up your weaknesses. So eventually we're going to prioritize these points in a second. Okay, that's probably coming into next week, but I want you to explore the ideas and the concepts and how you feel and think about these points. The next one is exercise. Are you exercising regularly? What do you do in regard to exercise? Could it be improved? How would you like it to be? Okay, and be realistic. There's no point saying, I want to be on the Synergy Strength Sport team and I want to train 12 times a week and do double days every day when your life just simply doesn't allow that. Be realistic and start to put in how you would like your life to be. Stress. How do you handle stress? Is there anything you could do to control your stress? Start thinking about meditation, taking some time for yourself, having more enjoyment in life, getting up a half hour early to do some meditation or to do some journaling. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really matter. But the idea is that you're exploring how you currently live, what your situation is currently like, and what it would like it to be. So you start to understand. And again, I repeat myself, I'm sounding like a broken record here, but start to close or at least create awareness around the gap that you need to close. Next point is energy. How are you performing? Now, this could be in fitness. This could be in your actual weight loss, which you guys should have substantial weight loss already occurring, or maybe it's in your work output. It doesn't really matter. Use it from a body transformation perspective as well as a life perspective, because these things are intimately connected, of course. And the last one is life. Are you living a life you're proud of? And this is, in my opinion, one of the most important questions, even though it may seem outlandish with regard to body transformation. But again, if you're not satisfied in your general life and satisfied in the things that you're doing, you're most likely not going to be making the choices that you want. And I want to ensure that you're bringing up your general energy level and the way that you move through life, the way you see yourself, the way that you live your life. So are you happy with your current position in life? If not, change it. Absolutely change it. We too many times put barriers on ourselves and limitations, which we've been talking about for the last how many videos, but we limit ourselves to saying, I can't, I won't, it would be too difficult. Well, I'm sorry, man. Life is life. And if you want something, then you got to chase it and you have to go after it. Okay. But what is it that you want? So you start to clarify. And this might, when you do some of this, you might realize, shoot, man, I got to change my goal. That could be the case. Go change your goal. It's fine. Okay. But that's the whole purpose of this, is that you are thinking about your results, thinking about yourself, thinking about your life and where you're at. Okay. These things will impact your ability to make a quantum leap in body transformation. So continue to dive into this. And if you just simply go through this, read it, write a couple one sentence answers, you've done yourself a disservice. You're not following the guide as it's designed to be done. What I would challenge you to do in order to study this is to study it on a daily basis. Read through these things every single day. And as you cruise through life and as you cruise through at work, the back of your brain will just be constantly working. Your conscious mind will coming up with ideas and thoughts of how you'd like to see things go, which again, if you've never actually taken the time to think about, then you just may not have an answer right away. That's something you're going to have to work into, but it takes some time and energy put into it. Don't look at this as just simply come into the workout, get it done, go home, forget about it. Okay, this is something you're going to have to delve into and really, really spend some time with. Your next task, once you've done that review and you've done all your thought processing, is you move into the value added actions and the non-value added actions. So when we define a value added action, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but either way, these are actions that improve your outlook on life, that improve your mindset and your positive mental state, things that essentially produce positive outcomes in your life or in your body transformation, whatever it might be. But these are all the good aspects, the good actions that lead you forward towards what you want to achieve in body transformation and in life. The non-value added options are simply the exact opposite. They're the things that hold you back. They're the things, the small little thoughts you have in your mind all the time that hold you back. I had this conversation with an athlete in the gym last night that I was training that has some fairly high goals, and we were working on muscle ups. And this individual said, yeah, but I don't have a really great dip. I said, well, that's interesting. We're not talking about a dip. We're simply talking about going over the rings. And we're trying to build confidence in these positions. But every time I start to lay out all of the different prerequisites that are required to do this skill, which this individual already has, they have all these little gremlins in their head, in their conscious mind, where they're overthinking the position and they start to think about, well, why they can't do it, what the limiting is. And again, these are limiting belief systems that have to be challenged. And the same idea, I went through this process with her in the place where I say, well, okay, let's walk through this. Let's start thinking about all the reasons why you can do something, why you can't do something. So how do you see it now? And how should you see it? How would you like it to be? And she quickly starts to understand that how she would like it to be is actually very close to how it is. But the only thing in the way is this, the paradigm that she holds around her capacity and her ability to achieve something amazing. That's the only thing that's in the way. So the more that we spend time with goals, the more we spend time with her and analyzing and studying herself and her thought processing around these movements, the quicker we will make progress. And I guarantee that this progress, this goal that we have set, will be achieved within weeks. That's a something I would be willing to stand by. So now what you want to do is you want to go through and use the guide above, the list of above of all the different places that you looked at, how you would like it to be and how it is, okay, the knowing doing gap, and start to write these out. Now, this again will take a little bit of time on your end. What is the non-value added action that you possess? Now, stop and think about that and turn that into a value added option. How would you do that? Take some time to turn all of your non-value actions and put them into value added actions. What would that look like? It's very similar to the step above, but it's different because we're nailing it down and getting a little bit more precise. I have a page and a half of potential NVAs and VAs. Feel free to create more. Feel free to take some more space and elaborate upon them. That's fine. And your very last, number 3 task is now take a moment to reflect. Reread all of your NVAs and VAs. What would your life, what would the results look like if you were able to turn all of your NVAs into VAs? I think I know the answer to that question, but I want you guys to explore that and take some time to analyze that and spend some time this week and next. And remember, you can always go back to previous sections and start to dive into your paradigms, your limiting beliefs, your NVAs and VAs. Take some time to explore yourself and understand yourself. Take some time to understand what barriers are in your way, and your knowing doing gap will start to shrink. And as it shrinks, so will your results start to improve. I wish you nothing but the best this week, guys. Put your questions in your progress tracker, and we will chat very soon. Thanks for your time.